Hello guys, this video is on properties of asymptotic notation. As in the previous videos, we have learned about asymptotic notations. So it's the right time to understand the properties of asymptotic notation. We have basically 5 properties in asymptotic notation. First one is properties of first one is reflexive property. Why we are saying it as reflexive? Because function f of n will be equal to function f of n. And what is the condition of big O of n? That f of n has to be less than or equal to big O of g of n. Have you remembered the condition? Yeah. So in this condition, fn will always be equal to fn because of this equal sign. Therefore, this condition satisfies. Similarly, if we check for the omega, so this condition will always satisfied because for omega the equation is what? Fn has to be greater than equal to omega of g of n. So here is also equals to sign. And similarly on the third one, Fn equals to theta of f of n. Fn is equal to f of n. So what is the first condition of this? The first condition is Fn has to be less than equal to c1 gn. And what is the second condition for theta? Fn has to be greater than equal to c2 dot gn. So as it is equal, these both conditions will be satisfied. Therefore it is big O also, big omega also, and big theta also. But if we talk about small and small o and small omega, so the small o and small omega will not satisfied because they are non-tied, and therefore they are non-tied. Because of that, equal to will be not available in these two. So these will be not considered under the reflexive property. Second one is symmetric property. In symmetric property, what we have, if function f of n is big O of g of n, that is what we are saying with this is that f of n is less than or equal to g of n. Is it right? So if f of n is less than or equal to g of n, so g of n will not be equal to big O of f of n, because let us understand that fn has value 2 and gn has value 3. So 2 is less than 3, this is equal, but 3 is not less than 2. So therefore in the symmetric property, big O will not be satisfied, big omega will also not be satisfied, small o will not satisfied, small omega will not satisfied. The only thing which satisfied this equation is theta. Because if fn and gn equal, let fn will be 2 and gn will also be 2, then there is no problem, because 2 is equal to 2 and here also 2 is equal to 2, then this condition will be right. But for theta only. So now the third one is transitive property. In transitive property, what we have is if fn is big O of g of n, that means fn is less than or equal to g of n. And what is the other condition? That gn is big O of h of n, that is g of n is less than or equal to h of n. So what we have is, so we have that fn is the smaller than gn than h of n. So we can conclude that fn is lesser than what? H of n. So as fn is less than h of n, we can strictly say that fn will be big O of h of n, isn't it? The fourth property is if f of n is big O of g of n. What we have is fn is smaller than or equal to g of n. If we multiply f of n with h of n, any other function, then we also have to multiply with the same into the right hand side, because what we have is we have this equation but we are multiplying with h of n, so we have to multiply with h of n in the both sides, then this will be right. Now the fifth one is if f of n is big of g of n, that is if f of n is less than g of n, f of n is less than equal to g of n. And what is the other condition? That d of n is less than equal to e of n. So for that there we have two equations, that one is fn plus dn, that is fn plus dn. For the both it will be the big O of what? The maximum among the two. If gn is maximum, then gl will be as answer, and if en is maximum, then el will be. Therefore what we are saying is big O of maximum of g of n or e of n. In the second question, if we multiply f of n with g of n, then we cannot consider it as maximum, because we are multiplying f1 of dn, it might be greater. So therefore we have to take what? We have to take g of n with multiplication with e of n. So here it is. Now let's understand it with examples. As in the question 1, what is given is that what is given? Fn is big of g of n, that is f of n is less than or equal to g of n. One thing from that. And from the other part, what is given? That g of n is not or big O of f of n, that is g of n is not less than or equal to f of n. So there is no chance that g of n will be less than, but it is indicating that it does not has to be equal. So if it does not has to be equal, what it will be? F of n will be strictly smaller than g of n from first one. From the second one, what we have is g of n is big O of h of n. So from second one, g of n is less than or equal to h of n from this, and from this h of n is less than equal to g of n. From these two, what we can conclude is we can conclude that g of n is equal to h of n, isn't it? So now come up to the option A. If we multiply f of n with h of n, if we multiply the f of n with h of n, the what here given is theta. That means he is saying that f of n into h of n will be equal to g of n into h of n. What we have to do is we have to violate the condition, at least one false has to be there to declare that it is a false statement. So forward, let us take an example of equal, because theta means this one has to be less than equal to this and this one has to be less than equal to this. So let us take that this is equal to this, but we can strictly understand that h of n is equal to h of n, that is okay. But what we have from this equation is what we have from first equation. It is strictly given that f of n is strictly smaller than g of n. So f of n is smaller than g of n. So this statement is clearly false. So the statement is clearly false. So come up to the second option. G of n plus h of n. What we have is two functions, that is g of n and h of n. So here we have that g of n is equal to h of n. if g of n is equal to h of n, then this will be equal to this and this one will be equal to this, because what we take is, among these two, whichever is higher we will take it. So according to that condition, this will be equal to this and this will be equal to this. That means it is true for theta, while the first one is true for omega, sorry, big O. And for the C condition, what we have is fn plus gn plus hn. Gn plus hn is, here it is omega, that means gn plus of h of n has to be greater than or equal to f of n. And what we know that fn is greater than gn and gn is equal to hn, that means fn is also lesser than h of n. So that's why the C statement is true. So now come to the D. In the D option, f of n is multiplied with g of n. In this case, because we are multiplying with this, and what we have here is g of n into g of n. So this condition would be false, because what it is saying that this is greater than this, while it is not so, because gn into gn into gn will always be higher than fn into gn, because gn is greater than fn. So that's why this will be false. And the E option, what we have is, we have that g of n is equal to h of n, g of n is equal to h of n. If these both are equal, what will be here? It will be 1. And he is saying that 1 is equal to h of n and h of n is equal to 1, which is not possible. So here we can declare that this statement is also false. Now come up with the question number 2. What is given here is that T1 is big O of f of n, that means T1 is less than or equal to f of n from the first statement. And from the second statement, what we can conclude is T2 is less than equal to f of n. So it is the conclusion from the given statements. So let's come up with on the first statement. What is the first statement? First statement is T1 of n and T2 of n is big O of f of n. That means what we can conclude is T1 of this one and this one. So it has to be less than f of n. What we have to take, that whichever is higher among two, either T1 or T2, but it is given that neither T1 is higher than Fn nor T2 is higher than Fn. So this will be true, because this is not higher, this is not higher, and this is the same thing we want to prove, that this has to be smaller than this. So therefore this will be true. And here we are comparing about T1 and T2. As you can see that there is no information given between the relations of T1 and T2. We have the relation between T1 and Fn, T2 and Fn, but between T1 and T2 there is no relation. So we cannot conclude anything about this. So we can say that there is not much information, there is insufficient information. So we cannot conclude anything also. So we can say it is false, this one is also false, and this one is also false. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment and share, and please also click on the ring bell so that you can have a notification whenever a video is uploaded. Thanks for watching.